but Kyle Larson wins the championship? If you're still trying to make sense of the wild finish at Phoenix, you're not alone. From last lap gambles to championship dreams made and shattered, this weekend had it all. We're breaking down every heart stopping moment from NASCAR's finale and diving into the off-season power plays shaking up the dirt world. I'm your host, Russ Fritz, telling you to strap in tight because this isn't just racing, this is switching grooves. In the world of motorsports, time is measured in thousandths of an inch, and or thousandths of a second, excuse me. And its true direction is actually charted in pivotal moments that unfold over days and weeks. And this week was one such inflection point. A week where the very fabric of NASCAR racing was stretched, tested, and rewoven. In the searing Arizona desert, championships were decided not by season long dominance alone, but by late race gambles and steely nerves of crew chiefs and drivers executing under immense pressure. The final checkered flags at Phoenix Raceway for the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity, and the Craftsman Truck Series brought a dramatic and, in some cases, heart-wrenching conclusion to a grueling 9-month campaign. Simultaneously, as the engines cooled in Phoenix, the gears of the 2026 season were already turning with ferocious intensity in the dirt track universe. The off-season in sprint car racing is no longer a period of rest, but a strategic battleground where the fight for talent, technology, and market share is waged. High Limit Racing, the Ascendant National Tour, fired a series of monumental shots across the bow of the establishment, announcing an aggressive expansion and securing a game-changing talent that actually signals a new era in how drivers are valued. This report will provide an exhaustive analysis of what do you want to call a transformative week, dissecting the strategies that actually crown NASCAR's champions and explore the power plays reshaping the dirt racing landscape, offering a deep dive into the single most significant driver signing of the entire offseason, a move that encapsulates the evolving definition of a modern racing superstar. While NASCAR's season reached its dramatic conclusion, the dirt racing world was already deep into its own high stakes maneuvering. The offseason has become a critical period where series and teams actually make the strategic moves that will define the competitive landscape for the entire following year. High Limit Racing made a series of bold announcements, while the World of Outlaws have actually been preparing for its own championship finale. Kubota High Limit Racing is actually preparing for its third season with an explosive expansion solidifying its place as a premier national touring sprint car series. The organization has unveiled a mammoth 66 race schedule for the 2026 campaign, a coast to coast endeavor that will see the high rollers compete at 33 different tracks across 21 different states. This ambitious calendar demonstrates significant growth, adding new crown jewel events, expanding into new territories, and enhancing its existing fan favorite race weekends. The 2026 season will be strategically framed by major events held in conjunction with NASCAR weekends. The tour will ignite in March, opening its season for the first time with a newly expanded 3-day show at Las Vegas Motor Speedway from March 12th to 14th. After a grueling 9-month battle, the season will reach its climax with an all-in championship weekend at Texas Motor Speedway on October 16th and 17th. This isn't the only trip to Texas Motor Speedway, though. The series will also return to Fort Worth for the Stockyard Stampede on April 30th and May 2nd, providing fans with another high-profile NASCAR crossover weekend. At the heart of the 2026 schedule are four tentpole events, each boasting a six-figure payday for the winner. These races will serve as the pillars of the championship chase. 100,000 to win Bob Weichert Memorial. This Memorial Day weekend classic at Port Royal Speedway remains one of the sport's most coveted prizes. And the 100,000 to win Joker's jackpot. During the prestigious Kings Royal Week, High Limit will sanction the double down duels, and the Joker's jackpot at the legendary Eldora Speedway. That's July 15th and 16th. The $100,072 to win Gold Cup Race of Champions, a cornerstone of the Midwest Coast or the West Coast Swing, The historic event at Silver Dollar Speedway, August 27th through the 29th, will actually be a critical mid-tour battle. 126,000 to win Skagit Nationals. The richest payday of the season will be contested at Skagit Speedway, September 3rd through the 5th, serving as the grand finale of the Western Swing. The traditional summer trek out west has been intensified for 2026. Drivers and teams will face a grueling 17-day stretch that features 11 races across California, Oregon, and Washington. This demanding swing will be anchored by the two massive paying events at Silver Dollar Speedway and Skagit Speedway, making it a critical make-or-break portion of the season. While the tour expands, it maintains its deep roots in sprint car heartland. Pennsylvania's Port Royal Speedway will be the most visited track on the calendar, hosting the series for 8 nights. Beyond the Weichert Memorial, the Speed Palace will welcome High Limit for the 59,000 to win Tuscarora 50, September 10th through the 12th, and a brand new 2-day summer tour or summer stop for the tour on July 25th and 26th. And the Big E, Eldora Speedway, also retains its prominent position. In addition to the Joker's jackpot, the High Rollers will return in the fall to actually compete in the famed Four Crown Nationals, September 25th and 26th, sharing the spotlight with USAC's midgets, sprint cars, and Silver Crown divisions. A significant part of the 2026 expansion actually involves bringing the series to new fans and markets. The tour will make its debut in 4 new states: New Mexico, Minnesota, North Dakota, and Montana. This expansion includes 12 tracks that will host the Kubota High Limit Racing event for the first time: Vado Speedway in New Mexico, Route 66 Motor Speedway in Texas, Dodge City Raceway Park in Kansas, 81 Speedway in Kansas, Arrowhead Speedway in Oklahoma, Davenport Speedway in Iowa, I-94 EMR Speedway in Minnesota, Dakota Speedway in North Dakota, Shelby County Speedway in Iowa, Big Sky Speedway in Montana, State Line Speedway in New York, Santa Maria Speedway in California, and I think that's it. But beyond the crown jewels, the schedule is packed with other prestigious and high-paying events, and key dates include the 50,000 to win Eagle Nationals at Eagle Raceway June 9th, the 25,000 to win Don Martin Memorial Silver Cup at Lernerville Speedway July 21st, and the 25,000 to win Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial at Lucas Oil Speedway September 17th through the 19th. The 26,000 to win Race Rudine Foundation race finds its new home in 2026, moving to the debuting Big Sky Speedway in Montana for a 2-day show on June 26th and 27th. Other exciting changes include the added trip to Eagle Raceway on April 21st, a new 2-day event honoring Brian Clausen at Kokomo Speedway May 8th and 9th, and extra dates added in California. With 4 dates still listed as to be announced, the 2026 Kubota High Limit Racing season is shaping up to be a landmark tour for sprint car racing. And as High Limit made its off-season moves, the established World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series has been preparing for its season-ending spectacular, the World Finals, set to take place at the Charlotte Dirt Track. Heading into the final weekend of competition, David Gravel holds a commanding 138-point advantage over Buddy Kofoid in the championship standings, and that puts him in the strong position to secure the title. While the national tours prepare for their finales, regional competition remained fierce. On Saturday, November 1st, Bridgeport Motorsports Park hosted the Dirty Jersey finale for 410 sprint cars. Justin Whittall delivered a dominant performance, leading 30 laps of the feature event to claim the $12,000 victory for the second consecutive year. Woodall held off a stout field of regional talent, with Chase Dietz, Anthony Macri, and Danny Dietrich rounding out the top four, showcasing the immense depth of competition that exists beyond the National Touring Series. And the broader American short track scene was also active, with one of its crown jewels uh, over the weekend. At the prestigious short track nationals at Texarkana 67 Speedway, Hank Davis emerged victorious in the preliminary night of competition, adding his name to the event's storied history. The flurry of activity across the dirt racing landscape reveals that the so-called sprint car wars between the established World of Outlaws and the ambitious, I should say, high limit racing are now entering a new, more strategic phase. The competition has evolved beyond a simple fight for race dates and purse money. It's now a calculated, long term battle for the sport's future, centered on the acquisition of the next generation of star power. High Limit's aggressive 66 race schedule is a direct challenge, forcing teams and drivers to make definitive choices about their future allegiance. More significantly, the signings of young dynamic talents like Dazen Persley and most notably Tanner Holmes demonstrate a strategic focus on marketability and fan engagement. High Limit is actively securing drivers who not only win races, but also command massive, loyal followings, recognizing that in modern sports, building a sustainable and popular series depends as much on capturing eyeballs and sponsorship dollars just as much as it does on checkered flags. Analyzing a game changing hire among the flurry of the offseason news, one announcement resonated with particular force, signaling a potential paradigm shift in sprint car racing: the hiring of Tanner Holmes to drive the Buick Motorsports number 13, full time with Kubota High Limit Racing in 2026. This pairing is more than just a driver changing teams. It is a convergence of on track potential, massive marketability, and team strategy that could have wide ranging implications for the driver, the team, and even the series itself. On October 29th, 2025, it was officially confirmed that Tanner Holmes, the 21-year-old sensation from Jacksonville, Oregon, would actually make the jump full time to national touring sprint car competition in 2026. He will pilot the number 13 entry for Buick Motorsports, owned by Tom Buick and guided by veteran crew chief Sean Strasbaugh. With this commitment, Holmes became the first officially declared contender for the 2026 Race Routine Foundation Rookie of the Year award. The team's technical package consists of an RPM chassis powered by an HP engine and a combination that will actually be new for Holmes, presenting an immediate technical learning curve. Well, why Holmes? The answer is pretty obvious: the dual power of performance along with popularity. The decision by Buick Motorsports to hire Tanner Holmes is a masterstroke rooted in a dual pronged valuation of the young driver. He possesses not only immense on track potential, but also an unparalleled level of marketability that makes him one of the most valuable assets in the sport. His off track influence is actually staggering. An analysis of social media metrics reveals Holmes is the third most followed sprint car driver across platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, trailing only established superstars David Gravel and Rico Abreu. However, when his wildly successful YouTube channel is factored into the equation, his reach actually becomes even more pronounced, making him the second most followed driver in the country, behind only Rico Abreu. This massive digital footprint is the currency of modern sports marketing. As one other analysis actually noted, Holmes brings a lot of eyeballs wherever he goes, a quality that is immensely attractive to sponsors who are plastered all over the race cars. For High Limit Racing and its broadcast partner Flow Racing, securing a driver with this level of built-in viewership is a monumental get. With Abreu as champion and Holmes joining the tour, the series now boasts the two most followed drivers in the sport, a marketing coup that cannot be overstated. This immense popularity is backed by proven on track performance. particularly when Holmes is paired with elite level guidance. Despite occasional online criticism, his results with veteran crew chiefs speak for themselves. During a 2023 stint with the legendary Bobby Allen in the Shark Racing number 1A, which they changed to 1T, a relatively inexperienced Holmes actually recorded a string of impressive top 10 finishes against formidable World of Outlaws at notoriously tough racetracks. Those included a third and a seventh at Jackson Motorplex, a fourth at Skagit Speedway, a fourth at Sharon Speedway, a ninth at Port Royal, an eighth at Devil's Bowl, and the list goes on. This success continued in 2025 when he teamed with crew chief Drew Warner in the Tarleton Motorsports number 21. Against high limit competition, he scored a fifth place run at Tulare, a fourth at Kern Raceway, a fifth at Central Arizona Raceway, and a brilliant second place finish during the double down duels at Eldora. With the Outlaws, he added the seventh place finish at both Attica and Tulare. Furthermore, Holmes has methodically built his career avoiding the temptation to jump to the national level prematurely. He enters his new chapter with nearly 200 410 sprint car starts, a stark contrast to the less than 30 starts that the team's previous driver, Dazen Pursley, had when he actually began his rookie campaign. This experience is geographically diverse as well. Holmes has competed in a 410 sprint car in 18 different states, including Iowa, California, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Texas. This exposure to a wide variety of track sizes, configurations, and surfaces will be invaluable and is expected to significantly shorten his learning curve. And as he tackles the national high limit schedule, his readiness is underscored by a career year in 2025, where he amassed 2 wins, 15 top fives, 22 top tens, and $133,275 in earnings, the 31st highest total in the nation. A significant portion of that income came from his runner-up finish in the prestigious 100,000 to win Dirt Cup at Skagit. And why Buick? Well, that's another obvious one. A contending car with an underrated crew chief. And for Holmes, the move to Buick Motorsports represents an opportunity to join a team with a proven race-winning pedigree. The number 13 car is not a developmental ride. It is a front-running operation capable of winning immediately. The team has impressively won at least one high-limit racing event in each of the last 3 seasons with different drivers, such as Justin Peck winning at Kokomo in 2023 and Eldora in 2024, and Pursley scored a victory at Lernerville just this year. This track record demonstrates that the equipment, preparation, and strategy are already at a championship contending level. A key figure in this success is crew chief Sean Strasbaugh, who is, he is actually widely regarded as one of the most underrated talents in the pit area. Strasbaugh possesses an intimate knowledge of the RPM chassis and HP engine combination, having honed the package over the years of success with Justin Peck. The team's decision to hire Holmes continues their strategic commitment to a young talent following a year with Pursley. This approach indicates a confidence in Strasbaugh's ability to actually mentor and develop young drivers, helping them extract the maximum potential from the race car. While the team experienced its share of setbacks with Pursley in 2025, including a lot of wrecks and tore up stuff, they also showed flashes of brilliance and captured a win, proving the potential of their youth-oriented strategy. The technical side of the pairing presents both a challenge and an opportunity. Holmes has not previously competed in an RPM chassis, meaning there will be an initial period of acclimatization as he actually learns the car's tendencies and works with Strasbaugh to tailor the setup to his driving style. To facilitate this transition, the team will actually debut together at the upcoming World Finals, allowing them to get valuable track time together before the 2026 season officially begins. The signing of Tanner Holmes is a landmark moment that formalizes a new valuation model for drivers in motorsports. Historically, a driver's worth was measured almost exclusively by on-track metrics, wins, championships, and experience. This hiring demonstrates a paradigm shift toward a dual-axis model where a driver's digital footprint and marketing power are considered just as critical as the race results. The team in the series did not just hire a talented driver, They acquired a media platform with a direct line to a massive engaged fan base. This reality will inevitably force the next generation of aspiring drivers to recognize that cultivating a personal brand and a robust digital strategy is no longer an optional extra, but actually a school or a core component of a successful professional career. Simultaneously, the Book Motorsports strategy reflects a broader trend within a sport facing the retirement of some of its biggest stars. Rather than signing a consistent but less dynamic veteran, the team has doubled down on its investment in a high ceiling potential. After taking a risk on the inexperienced Pursley and finding success, well, they have now actually invested in Holmes, a driver with a significantly deeper resume who still possesses the youth and the raw talent to become a cornerstone of the franchise for the next decade. It is a calculated gamble that Holmes' experience will actually mitigate the early season risks associated with a young driver, while his immense talent and off the charts popularity offer a far greater potential return on investment than a more established but less marketable competitor. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. Great job. I mean, that is a huge, huge get for High Limit and Book Motorsports as well. But now I'll bring in my co-host Nathan to discuss NASCAR with me. So, what's going on, Nathan?
Not much, Russ. What's up with you?
Oh, not
Dumb
a
my
whole.
camera down just a little bit. There we go.
So, what did you think about this weekend, NASCAR wise?
Um, well, I'll start with the Truck Series race. I will say that it's about Heim time. He finally got a championship. That was about the only, I'm gonna say, expected part of the weekend. It was a matter of time before Corey Heim won a championship. I mean, Carson Hocevar robbed him of a championship, what, 2 years ago? And I think last year it was a pit road issue that cost him the championship to Majeski. Um, so I'm not really surprised Corey Heim won the championship this year. What 10 or 12 races he won is basically almost half the season was a Corey Heim win. So that's congrats to Corey Heim on winning the championship. I don't really know if that one was unexpected. I think everybody picked him to win the championship. So not really much to cover there. I will say the Xfinity Championship brought a little bit of a curveball, which I guess in past it really hasn't been. But this year, Junior Motorsports put three cars in the championship four. Fourth car was only Jesse Love from RCR. And for the second time in how many years, Junior Motorsports has somehow not won the championship when these odds are in their favor to win the championship. I mean, I believe Connor Zilisch finished third after dominating the season, ended up not winning the championship. It's just a prime example of how bad these playoff, formats are set up to where the most dominant car of the season doesn't win the championship because you have one bad race.
Exactly.
I saw a lot of people criticizing it online after the Xfinity race, and to be honest, it's kind of warranted. I'm kind of glad that hopefully NASCAR will change the playoff format for next year. There has been no answers or updates to that at all. At least not that I've seen for a concrete next year format, but I'm hoping that we will get a better format to judge our champions a little better because this year just didn't cut it. And then on the high note for the weekend, and I know Russ is really looking forward to this segment, the Cup Series Championship. We had probably one of the most equal playoff fields or playoff Final Fours I've seen in a while. No, there really was no clear favorite to win the championship. For a refresher, we had Chase Briscoe, we had William Byron, we had Kyle Larson, and we had Denny Hamlin. And I guess with the prior history we probably should have seen this championship end the way it did. But when you look at the race itself, it was a bit of a surprise. Um, Denny Hamlin qualified on the pole. William Byron qualified second. Denny Hamlin essentially dominates this race. But in the closing laps, well, actually, let's go back a little bit before we get to that one. This race was plagued by tire issues. I know Chase Briscoe and Kyle Larson both had tire issues throughout the race. And I believe at one point Denny Hamlin also had a tire issue. The only person that did not have a tire issue through the majority of the race was William Byron. And with, I believe it was 3 laps to go, he ended up blowing a tire running second and hitting the outside wall, basically dropping him to 33rd and completely out of the playoff field. So that was a little bit devastating for me, at least. But we'll get to the more heartbreaking moment out of this race. Denny Hamlin, I believe, led 208 laps of I
Yep,
forget how many it was in the end.
280 led.
280 led, and out of I believe it was it 400? 400 laps of
312 or something like that.
312. So 208 laps of 312. He basically dominated this race. But with, going to overtime, Chris Gabehart, as history has shown.
No. It's Chris Gale now.
Chris Gale. Oh, I'm sorry. Chris Gale. Still same. Chris. We'll just go off Chris. Chris is bad for Denny. Chris Gale brings Denny Hamlin down pit road for 4 tires and fuel, thinking that he can replicate Corey Heim's drive from like mid-pack to win the championship and pull a 7-wide pass, through turn 2. Unfortunately for Chris Gale, he neglected to remember the fact that these Cup cars are not Truck Series trucks. They drive way, way, way different than the Truck Series trucks. So you can't just take a move from the Truck Series and make it work in the Cup Series.
Well, in the words of Harry Hogg, the trucks they weigh twice as much and the tires are half as wide. Now
that's very accurate.
The tires are twice as wide and the car weighs half as much. So
yes. So it just doesn't work out. So Chris Gale brings Denny Hamlin down pit road for 4 tires and fuel. Alan, or not Alan Gustafson. I can't think of his crew chief now. Anyway, Kyle Larson's crew chief brings him down for 2 tires.
Cliff Daniels.
Cliff Daniels. I couldn't think of his name off. It drew a blank. Cliff Daniels brings Kyle Larson down pit road for 2 tires. So on the ensuing overtime restart, Kyle Larson is starting 5th. Denny Hamlin is starting 10th. And like you would think, they all go scattering into turn 2. Denny Hamlin, I think, gained 2 spots out of the entire ordeal. So now he is running 8th. Kyle Larson is now running, I think he gained 1 spot up to 4th. So there's still a pretty hefty gap in between the 2 drivers, but they are scattered out, so it looks like they're close together. And it's somehow, out of all this, Denny Hamlin does not dive through the tri-oval after the white flag. You would think he'd make a desperation move to somewhere get close to Kyle Larson. And Kyle Larson basically just slams the door, drops down to the apron in front of Denny, to where the finishing order is Kyle Larson finishes 3rd, Denny Hamlin finishes 6th. So after leading the majority of this race, somehow, some way, Denny Hamlin found another way to lose a championship, which, I don't know, 20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Yeah, just go with 21 because you still didn't win a championship.
Wait a minute. I didn't see Larson dive to the bottom. He was up top the whole time in that last one.
No, that last lap, he did drop down to the apron to kind of cut off where Denny was.
I didn't.
Denny went way lower coming to the green flag, passing the green flag. But on the white flag lap, Kyle Larson did kind of shut the door on him a little bit. At least for what the camera angle showed, it looked like he went lower than he did the prior lap. He didn't really slam the door per se, but he did basically give Denny very little uh, room to work with on the bottom. They weren't side by side, but still, he kind of took the shortcut that Denny tried to take the lap before, and Denny really didn't cut it any lower than he did the prior lap.
So here's my take. For 308 laps of the race, Hamlin was authoring, writing his fairy tale. And after years of heartbreak and 60 Cup Series wins, he was finally on the verge of winning that one prize that's eluded him his entire career. And he was leading the race, controlling everything, 3 seconds ahead, and what, 3 or 4 laps from lifting the Bill France trophy overhead, and
And
all of a sudden, boom, here come the yellow lights on. And Byron blew a tire and hit the wall.
yeah,
And that was probably the most heart-stopping moment for Denny Hamlin ever in any race ever, because it just wiped out an entire 3-second lead and a championship it was going to be his, but
well,
right up to that moment, it would have been his.
Cliff
But
Daniels with the State Farm moment of the race to Chris Gale. Ooh, you almost had the championship. You got to be quicker than that. That's my take on how this finish went. And I'm gonna be really honest. And I've talked to a few different people who questioned that final move, and I really can't justify the move that Chris Gale made. Denny had the fastest car on short runs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Russ. Wouldn't 2 laps be a short run?
yeah, I'd say so.
I, I mean, I just want to know the logic behind bringing them down for 4 tires. I understand that I guess, make teammate did this in the truck race off 4 tires. He also had like 0 tires left. You literally probably could have held him off for 2 laps and scooted away
To
with the championship because you took off faster than anybody else all race.
to be
Why give
honest,
up the track position?
I if it was me, even whether I was the driver or the crew chief, I would have done it this way. And I say 80% would have just stayed out, because
Yeah,
it's only a couple of laps. And yes, I know that's taking a gamble on another green white checkered happening. But I mean, look at the gamble you took anyway by taking 4 tires. And with a car that fast on the short runs like that, I mean, yeah, you're giving up a little grip to the guys with 2 tires, but you got to remember they're only on 2 tires, and your car is so much faster, so it's kind of going to equal out, and it might have actually set up for a good battle at the end.
yeah. I mean, here's a way to think of it. Also, on 2 tires, Kyle Larson only gained 2 spots.
Well, that was
The
two
guys.
spots that he needed.
Yes, but here's what makes me laugh. Denny Hamlin, had he not taken 4 tires, he would have started with Brad Keselowski and Ryan Preece behind him. Brad Keselowski ended up losing this race. He came off entered turn 3 with the lead. He still finished second. Ryan Blaney came from, out of nowhere, essentially closer style, and beat Brad Keselowski to the line. I just want to know, had this played out differently and had they not pitted, did they really think they were going to lose to Brad Keselowski, who, A, isn't in the playoffs? Neither was Ryan Blaney. You know, had they put Brad, on the inside, he still wasn't going to make it, you know, like he was really going to pass Denny
And
for a championship.
and that's my point about saying that I would have stayed out. I mean, you're not trying to you want to win the race, but that's not what you're initially trying for. It didn't
Yeah,
matter if one of the other guys would have passed him, as long as he stayed ahead of Kyle or William
it puts that buffer
or
there. Yes.
Bell. as long as he crossed that line before the other 3, that's all that
Yeah.
mattered at that point. So I would have took that gamble and stayed out, to be honest with you.
And I would have
But
also. I can't understand that.
I'll tell you by many, many metrics, um, Hamlin was probably, I mean, looked at as the driver of the year. I mean, his primary challenger was only Kyle Larson. And Hamlin won 6 races and Kyle only won 3, but uh, the 5 team didn't show the same consistent dominant speed, as the 11 team.
Yeah.
Uh, Byron secured the regular season championship, and
And I still don't know how he pulled that one off. I'll be really honest.
this stage was actually set for a classic confrontation, dude. I mean, it was
Yeah.
the season's most winningest driver versus a former champion who actually knows how to clutch his performances.
I
So
will. I will
it
say
was.
probably the funniest part about that entire finish wasn't even the reaction on TV. It's the Facebook comments that really got me laughing. Like I couldn't believe how savage people were on Facebook after all this. They were bashing Kyle Larson. They were breaking their TVs over Denny losing the race. I can't even wrap my head around it.
I mean, don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, now
That
everybody's
is
asking,
100% accurate.
and now I've watched other analyst shows, like Eric and Matt from Breakhard, and now they're asking the question, really want to change the playoffs now? And I still say absolutely. It's
I still say it also.
this is a proven this right here proves why that this playoff winner take all is absolutely absurd, because this championship was won and lost on pit road over 2 tires or 4 tires. And it's ridiculous. It didn't showcase at all the most performing driver of the entire year.
Yes.
It didn't reward them at all. So, I mean, I say yes, it needs to go.
On the bright side, which, well, okay. On the downside, I'm going to call it the downside because I was kind of hoping we would have this. Had Denny Hamlin won the championship, it was going to be a really awkward, you know, trophy celebration. And I was kind of looking forward to see how NASCAR was going to handle that. So I
Hmm.
guess in the end, I'm disappointed to see that they didn't really have to tech Denny Hamlin's car with a fine tooth comb, and they really didn't have to have an awkward, trophy celebration because that would have been highly entertaining to see how that was going to go down. I was kind of deep down inside. I kind of wanted to see Denny win the race just to see how awkward that was going to get. Although there was a meme out there where they did the president of NASCAR saying, "And thank you for not making me have to give this trophy to Denny." I won't lie, I did laugh at that one. That was one of those funny, saw that one, didn't see that one coming, but it was really funny. The memes that came out of yesterday definitely were some funny highlights in my opinion. I mean, State Farm fishing pole, you've got now the AI generated Denny Hamlin crying, or the AI generated, you know, cussing out NASCAR. There was some really, really funny content that came out of yesterday, and I won't lie, it had me laughing pretty hard.
So, so let me back up and give my little recap breakdown of this.
Okay.
That move, that move for 4 fresh tires gave Hamlin maximum grip, but it also cost him severe track position. And in the opposite corner, you have Cliff Daniels, who takes that audacious high risk gamble, calling for 2 tires. That was right sides only. That move actually gave him the ultimate prize, which was track position. So the result was a complete inversion of the running order. And Hamlin actually was in control of the race coming to pit road, but got buried in what, 10th or 11th on the
Tenth.
restart. So, you know, everybody was just trying to chase him down, and it just kind of screwed it all up. But uh in
Looking
the
back on
end,
it, I do have a question about this also.
the victor, well, it was Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels' gamble that paid off magnificently, if you ask me. Larson used his superior track position to perfection. So, I mean, he navigated the chaos on the restart. I mean, it was complete. Everybody was all over the place. And he actually secured the third place finish that got him the championship. So that was a good call on Daniel's part. Great driving on Kyle's part. Um, what do you want to call it? Uh,
I I feel like the
Clinical.
2 tire move definitely played to Kyle Larson's skills.
Well,
Because
that
if you
was
really think about it, you don't really need a whole lot of grip to go through turns 1 and 2 when you're going to slide from the apron all the way to the outside wall. I mean,
well,
think about it. Kyle
and it's
Larson's a dirt racer. He'll hit that cushion any chance he can get. He'll
and
throw a
it's
slider.
and it's Phoenix. It's not like it's Talladega or
Yeah.
Daytona.
Well,
But
it's
that
not
was
even like you need it for Bristol either. I mean, you need for grip for Bristol. A flat track like Phoenix, or even, I mean, I guess New
even
Hampshire, you need
Homestead.
grip. Yeah. Like, you really don't need a whole lot of grip. Like, you need some grip. I'll give them that. But you know, I feel like even 2 tires would have been better off for grip wise than running four. Because four, you're gonna be locked to the track. Yeah, you're gonna have the drive off, but it's rear wheel drive. Like you really need front grip. If anything, you needed the left side grip to kind of set the car sideways. Or not sideways, but say your left side tires aren't worn. That new rubber is gonna set well, I guess it's backwards on the screen, but with new rubber on the right sides, it's going to pick the car up in the air. Unless they just did left side tires, which still, you know, makes it to where you can steer to the corner. I forgot to look see what size they actually changed.
Well, to
But
me
I
that
mean,
was
either way, it gives them some sort of grip to work with.
a clinical execution of a gutsy call that actually earned Larson his second Cup Series championship and actually cemented Cliff Daniels' reputation as a master strategist. And the guy knows his car, he knows his driver. He made one mistake this year when it came to running out of fuel earlier in the season, but that happens
At
once in a while.
Bristol or at Talladega also.
But the heartbroke or the heartbreak was for the veteran Denny Hamlin. And this had to be the most painful chapter in his, oh, what do you want to call it? Long,
Saga.
long, frustrating quest for a title. I mean, I don't feel sorry for Denny not winning, but I do kind of feel for his dad not being able to see that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a little sympathy somewhere.
And I will say that I do feel bad that his dad won't be able to see him win a championship. But in the end, I also don't really have any sympathy for Denny because the whole 11 versus the world thing and I beat your favorite driver. Technically, everybody else's favorite driver beat you this week. It
Well,
plays both ways.
the big reason I don't feel sorry for him is the fact that this is racing. This is what happens,
That too.
and I mean, you could have completely ignored your crew chief. You can't blame it on anybody. You could have completely ignored your crew chief and said, well, screw it. I'm going to stay out. I don't care what you say,
Yeah.
you know. But in the end, you do put trust in that person, and that's how championships and races are won or lost. And it was just one of those gambles that didn't pay off in the end.
And
So,
I do like the Cliff Daniels Kyle Larson pairing, because on multiple occasions, Cliff Daniels puts, the decision in his driver's hands. If he thinks Kyle has the skills to win the race, he'll leave him out there. I mean, he's shown it how many different times that if he thinks Kyle can do it, he'll give him the equipment and he tells him to go do it. This feels more like a Chris Gale didn't think he could do it or didn't trust in Denny's skills and made the call. And, it works both ways. If, say Kyle Larson thinks it's best to stay out, you know, Cliff Daniels respects that and say, okay, do what you need to do. I feel like that could have worked in Denny Hamlin's favor, like you said. If he didn't like the call, he's the one driving the car. He could have made that right hand turn to get back onto the track. He didn't. And I think
and
that that's the big difference between Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson and Chris Gale and Denny Hamlin is
well,
one
and
believes in his driver's talents and the other one just makes the calls for him.
and to go back to Cliff and Kyle being paired together, I watched a post race, not a victory lane interview, but a post race interview with Kyle, and he doesn't give himself enough credit. Even Kyle Petty said this in this post race show, that Kyle is very, very humble, and he doesn't give himself enough of the credit, but rather, pretty much gives 90% of it to his team, which is a good thing. I'm not saying anything bad about it,
Yeah,
but he
that's
d-
spot on.
he doesn't give himself enough of that credit for his talent on the racetrack. And that's awesome of Kyle Larson. That's why I like Kyle Larson a lot as a person. And he even said, I put my faith or my trust. I don't remember exactly, but it was either his faith or his trust in Cliff to make that call and, to get the car right, give me the information I needed, and so on and so forth. And the hosts even pointed out after Kyle left the interview, they even pointed out the fact that, even with like running out of fuel earlier, Cliff made that mistake. Kyle still puts his trust in his crew chief. And that is what makes a good pairing. When, yes, that they mess up once in a while and it happens, but you're not going to throw them under the bus and never trust them again. So, I mean, I saw that a lot of that with Kevin Harvick in the Richard Childress era, where he really liked working with Todd Barrier, but I don't think Todd Barrier was that great of a crew chief. But him and Kevin were really good friends, and that's actually how he met his wife Delana. And then when he got Shane Wilson, and well, they went from Todd Barrier to Gil Martin. Gil Martin was a very good crew chief. And if they were on the old point system, Kevin would have had 3 or 4 championships. But unfortunately, they weren't. But Gil Martin was an awesome crew chief. Then they switched over to Shane Wilson, who was just absolutely terrible. I mean, this guy was a pathetic excuse for a crew chief, in my opinion. He was not good at all. He didn't know how to make calls, nothing. I mean, he screwed Kevin out of a couple of different championships, I believe. And then they went back to Gil Martin for a little while, and then Kevin left and went to Tony Stewart Haas, and was paired with Rodney Childers, where they were a good pairing there. But with the Gen 5, Gen 6 car, they were really, really good. But when they came out with the Gen 7 car, they had a hard time figuring it out. And that kind of sucks for Harvick to end his career the way he did, but That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes, you know? But, you know, I just threw that up there to show the contrast of different crew chiefs. I mean, you know, some of them good, some of them bad.
I was trying to find the other news story I had this week that was announced for 2026.
Okay, well, while you're
Um,
looking for that, I'm gonna talk about, oh, what do you want to call him? Let's call him the quiet contender. Chase Briscoe. He actually ended up 15th. He ran a solid race, but lacked raw speed that Hamlin and Larson did in the closing laps. What was it? So he ended up 15th in the race, third in the championship standings, and he had a strong season and ended without a shot at the win, though.
I really
And
felt for him. I will say that he just did
William
not seem like he was there.
William Byron, well, we'll just call him the instigator. Unfortunately, his DNF cost him a 31st place, or
33rd.
earned, earned him a last place finish almost. And he won the regular season title, like we said. He actually won stage one of the championship race. But unfortunately, the outcome came from blowing that tire. I mean, all race long, no issues, taking care of your tire. But I think, in my opinion, they started running really hard there at the end because they didn't have anything else that they could do but just run hard to try to catch Denny, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
But he was running second when that happened, man. That had to really just, you know, stick a dagger right in your heart.
I
I mean,
noticed a lot of the other three, or a lot of times the other three drivers were going to that, that dog leg. They're cutting down to the apron to, basically shortcut the corner, and they were getting all the blown tires. And they had literally just made the statement about how William Byron had not done that. And with like, I don't know, maybe 10 to go, like with that final restart, he finally went down to the apron and did it. And I think that's what started to cause issues, is because all day they had been dropping down the apron and had been damaging the tire. And then and William Byron hadn't been doing it. He had actually been gaining on Denny. And that final restart, he made the decision to cut down the apron to try to get in front of Denny. And Denny ended up pulling away from him. And that choice to drop to the apron, I guarantee damaged the tire enough to where he finally just blew a right front tire and he ended up hitting the outside wall. And
oh yeah,
I
and that's
really
that.
wish they had told him to stay on track.
But I mean, he showed his strength early in the race, win stage
Yes.
one. Hamlin fought back in stage two, took the lead on a three wide restart, and then just took the pace, and it seemed like that was just going to carry him right onto the win.
Yeah.
But and the rest of the guys were racing for, oh well, no, they were all still racing for the manufacturer title, or the owner's title, I should say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Larson actually secured the crown for Hendrick in both, and actually secured it for Chevy for the manufacturer championship too.
Yeah.
So that's good. But this will actually be a forever testament to the high stakes drama, or yeah, the high stakes drama at this NASCAR format.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that it's over, but I mean, this was just, yeah, a very, very terrible format, and I'm so glad to see it go.
Yeah. So there is one update for next year's season. I don't know how many people have seen this yet, but NASCAR's primary, like big four sponsors, took a bit of a change for next year. They used to have Geico as their big sponsor, And now Daniel Suarez, sponsor of Freeway Insurance, is now one of the big four sponsors in NASCAR. So we have Coca-Cola, we have Busch Beer, I forget what the third one was, and then Freeway Insurance is the fourth big sponsor in the infield. So I thought that was a rather interesting announcement. So Geico, it's no longer the Geico restart zone. It'll now be the Freeway Insurance restart zone, I guess, which is sounds weird to me, the freeway restart zone, but with the amount of rules, it doesn't seem like a free way to go. A little bit of a pun there. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of interesting, but I don't know how to feel on it yet. It's just kind of weird to see them change sponsors the way they do, but it's what happens. Could be a lot of repainting the restart zones this offseason, I bet.
It'll probably happen in the springtime. Well, could be over the winter in
Probably.
the warmer areas, I guess, but
Probably. They still got to do that at all the ones up here that are getting snow and all the other crap.
yeah, well, we got Bowman Gray coming up in February.
Can't get here soon enough. I'm already having my racing withdrawals.
Hey, they moved the Daytona 500 to my birthday this year.
What do you mean?
It's on February 21st.
Oh, well, it's President's Day weekend. 2027, they moved it back for the Super Bowl. Which,
So
I don't know. I have my thoughts on them moving it back for the Super Bowl. And to be fair, they're probably not very fond of NASCAR. So I think it's best that I keep my comments to myself. Because, I don't want to end up like Denny's podcast. Actions detrimental to stock car racing. Which, funny enough, I don't actually know if anybody has been penalized for that ever since they made that podcast. Which is actually kind of funny that they named the podcast after it, but they don't give that penalty out anymore. I was just thinking about that the other day. Rich, random thought for me.
I haven't watched this podcast very much, so
I don't
can't
watch
say
it
a
very
lot.
much just because it really doesn't do anything for me. It's actually just more of a Denny talking about himself type of thing. And I will say, I am not a big fan of Kevin Harvick's podcast because I feel like from his NASCAR side to now his TV side, he's a completely different person. And he's very critical and very professional of the sport. And he always seems to kind of side with NASCAR on all of these decisions, which, I know that that's not how he was in his NASCAR career. I do feel like, the big media companies have gotten into his head because he's not as vocal about some things that he was in the past. But,
Well, that's called maturing too, though, Nathan. I mean, he's 50 years old almost.
there is a fine line between maturing and just giving NASCAR what they want to hear so you can get your paycheck. I mean, if you gotta give your opinion without more or less just saying, you know what, NASCAR's paying my paychecks, I'm just going to say what they want me to say. To be fair, Dale Jr. has been very critical of the sport. He listens to the fans. I will give him that.
Yeah, but
I would rather listen to Dale Jr.'s podcast over Kevin Harvick's happy hour.
you got to
Really, any
remember.
day anymore.
You got to remember, Dale Earnhardt owns his own media company, where Kevin Harvick works for Fox.
And I think if you get him out of Fox, I feel like you're going to see the change again. And that's the sad thing is if you're going to put that into the public eye, you also have to take it with a grain of salt because you know that he works for Fox and you know that he is only saying what, NASCAR wants to hear.
Hey,
Why I really feel like they should cancel that show if that's the way it's going to be, because it's just going to put the fake news out there at that point.
I like listening to Kenny Wallace.
I will agree with
He's
that. Kenny
Kenny's
Wallace and I feel
funny,
like
but
Dale
he's
Jr.
honest.
are legit, you know, realistically good podcast to listen to. Like, I don't really feel like, the However Happy Hour really does the sport justice. It kind of just is something to fill the airtime with. Actors Detrimental, I feel like, is more or less a podcast just so Denny can talk about himself. I'll be really honest. That's
That
probably
was the
even
other
worse than Hark's Happy Hour. And if that's hard to say,
that was another thing
go
about
ahead.
this weekend that kind of I don't know, I wouldn't say it pissed me off, but it was really annoying for like, oh, the last 3 or 4 weeks, man. That's all you heard about was Denny wants to win it for his father, his
I wish
terminally
I could
ill
go back and do
father.
a counter on how many said that.
I
You were
mean,
spot on.
I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but I got tired of hearing that because the simple fact was that it made it seem like maybe not Denny himself, but everybody else wanted all 3 of the other drivers to just sit back and let Denny have it because of the situation.
Well,
And
I mean,
that
William
wasn't gonna
Byron
happen.
apologized post race. Why? Why would you apologize when it wasn't your fault the tire blew? You
I
can't control
mean,
when you blow a tire. I couldn't
it's
understand that one.
racing. It's part of racing, it happens.
And
I
that's what
would've I
yeah.
would've apologized.
I couldn't even wrap my head around that. The fact that William Byron went and apologized. I didn't understand the logic behind that. Like, and in the when he was asked in the post race interview why he apologized, he gave some sort of quote along the lines of, "It just doesn't feel right that Denny didn't win the championship." I can't wrap my head around that one. Like, I support William Byron. I can't seem to figure out where he was going with that apology. Like, any other week, I can't see him walking into the media center and apologizing to Denny for blowing a tire to cost him a championship or cost him a race. I I don't quite understand where he was going with this. I don't understand why he thought that was necessary. Because any other week, that's a racing deal. Why the last race of the year do you have to go in and apologize to Denny Hamlin that you blew a tire? I mean, they harped on Denny trying to win this for his dad for what? I'm gonna say at least 1,000 laps because they started that way back at Vegas.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
I'm
I feel
baffled that
bad
it let it go that long.
I feel bad for the situation itself that, his dad isn't gonna see that, and, but I don't have sympathy that he didn't actually win because it's
Yeah,
just racing. It's how things play out in NASCAR. I mean, Byron doesn't control, the tires themselves. He doesn't control what kind of air pressures that his crew chief has the team running in his tires. Because I under from what I understand, that played a big factor in the tires actually blowing because they're running really low air pressures
yeah,
compared to what Goodyear actually recommends. So, I mean, there's all kinds of factors that contribute to it that you have no control over. So it
yeah.
didn't warrant an apology, in my opinion. As an apology, we should say, as in that you're sorry because you feel like it's your fault.
Yeah.
An apology like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry it didn't go your way." Okay, I
I
can
can
see that.
understand that one. I can totally understand that. If it was the second one, the one you just gave, I could understand that apology. But the way it came across, I hate saying this because it's going to bring all the kind of conspiracy theorists out from underneath their rocks. That makes it look like it was scripted, like the NFL. Like, and I get really worked up about that. NASCAR is not a scripted sport. By all means, if it becomes a scripted sport, I will refuse to watch. We're not the WWE. We're not the NFL. And you know what? NASCAR giving away that weekend to the Super Bowl is a you know what move. I'll call it a female dog move. And you'll know exactly what I mean when I say that. You're
Yep.
literally, giving in to the NFL to a weekend that you have had every single year as long as I can remember. That's a chicken you know what move to give in to the NFL just so they can have President's Day weekend for the Super Bowl. I really hope in 2028 it alternates. So at least every once in a while we get our regular weekend back and we're compromising with the NFL. Because if not, that's a really, really shitty move on NASCAR. Just to try, you're trying not to be a stick and ball sport, but yet you give in to a stick and ball sport, you know, and basically have the same playoff system as a stick and ball sport. You claim not to be one of those sports, but yet you have all the makings of their sport just with cars. Next thing you're going to know, we're going to be having 32 NASCAR teams playing on a 120-yard racetrack. I mean, come on,
Well,
people. Next time we'll be driving around a hockey rink with NASCARs.
well,
It
Nathan.
baffles me. It frustrates me. Sorry, I
Well,
get worked up now.
we only got a couple minutes left, Nathan. So
I know.
you want to do it? You want to say anything in closing before I close the show out?
I mean, I've heard a lot of people make comments this week that Kyle Larson is the GOAT of racing. I still debate that, and I will debate that to the day I die. He has yet to win anything IndyCar. That is one of my cases right there that he has not won. So until he can do something in IndyCar, which sounds like he's done racing in IndyCar, I guess he won't be the GOAT anytime soon. And with that, I will drop my mic.
So my conclusion is Kyle Larson's second championship will actually forever be a testament to the high stakes, high drama nature of this NASCAR style playoff style format, and it serves as a stark reminder that in the modern era, a season of dominance can actually be undone in a single moment, and a championship can be won or not won by the fastest car, but actually by the boldest strategy. Denny Hamlin, the season's most winningest driver, was actually denied once again, fueling the eternal debate over whether the system actually crowns the most deserving champion or simply the one who actually best navigates a thrilling, luck infused endgame. On this day, guts and a two-tire gamble trumped a season's worth of victories. So, the events that actually transpired this weekend were not actually a random collection of desperate races and press releases. They were a series of interconnected, defining moments that offer a clear glimpse into the future of American motorsports. Kyle Larson's Cup Series championship, secured through a high risk strategic gamble that trumped a competitor's race long dominance, was actually a powerful statement on the future, on the nature of this NASCAR playoff system. The dramatic Xfinity Series finale, it was actually a battle between two 20-year-old friends, and it highlighted a generational shift in how rivalries are forged and presented to a new audience. In the dirt world, High Limit Racing's aggressive acquisition of Tanner Holmes was actually perhaps the most forward looking development of them all. It represents the codification of a new formula for success, where a driver's value is measured equally by their speed on the track and their influence off of it. This single week revealed the converging paths of the sport's continuing evolution. The 2026 season and beyond in both the high bank world of NASCAR and the bull rings of America on the dirt tracks will actually be increasingly defined by this new era of strategic thinking where media suave youthful potential and the courage or the courage to, I should say, make those high stake gambles are actually becoming the essential currencies of champions. So But anyway, Nathan, that's going to do it for this episode. So let's tell everybody to remember we bring them all those race recaps, those professional breakdowns, and the insane adrenaline-packed motorsports moments each and every week. Whether you live for those sideways, mudslinging, dirt slide jobs, or the door-banging, paint-trading action of NASCAR, you belong right
You
here.
belong here.
Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss a finish. Until next time, keep switching grooves.
I'm
Russ
Nathan
Rich.
Johns.
Say race hard.
Stay safe.
I will see you there. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.